What's going on, everybody? Kash is staring at his phone.
My brother?
So we are all going to have some fun with this. You guys will want to be sharing this out. I already see the numbers climbing. So thank you, everybody, for already being here. We will be going over Kamala and Walz. I keep wanting to say Waltz for some reason. Walz pre-recorded. It was recorded this afternoon, and it's being broadcast tonight. Kash, what are your thoughts of an 18-minute video being played tonight to represent why they need to be our president and vice president?
Well, I mean, it's for me, it's obvious what's going on. It's just like what Steve Harvey said, right? I'm gonna continue to have her on, and I'm gonna ask the softball questions, and I'm gonna throw her the ball up so she can slam dunk it. So what's happening is they know that she would not be able to last in a real interview or in a real debate setting or take any hard questions because she does not yet have her policies figured out. She's got the scripts that they give her to read about what she's going to do and what her plan is, but she has no ideas of her own. And that's why she's not, they got to do things like this. They have to.
Yeah. I find it absolutely absurd that we are in this crazy world that we are okay with having a vice president and a president running to get elected, and they won't even hold a live press conference. They fight against even having debates. They push back against that. It's insane.
Yep.
Did you see what Kamala said earlier today at her rally?
Which part?
When she was trying to talk bad about Trump, and she was like, he tried to shut down.
No, I didn't see that. I caught clips. I was doing the speaking event with Russo, so I missed a lot of stuff today.
Oh my goodness. All right, let's play this real quick, just so everybody can see. Like, this is absolutely insane.
He even called for termination of the United States Supreme, the supreme land of our nation, the United States Constitution.
Wait,
what?
We'll play it again.
He even called for termination of the United States Supreme, the supreme land of our nation, the United States Constitution.
Sister,
can you translate that for me?
Look, listen, Kamala, you got to stop. You just need to accept the fact that you're not qualified to do this, man. And it's not because you just slipped up. It's not that. It's not that you just misspoke. I'm not saying that's the reason why, but you don't have anything that you can run on that is from you.
No.
You know what I'm saying? Versus a president who has all kind of ideas and things that he wants to do, can speak about it at the drop of a hat. No problem. No teleprompter needed. No nothing. No script. This is what my vision is for America. And you cannot do that, Kamala. So stop. It's about power. She's got an ego, and it shows.
Well, do you think it's ego, or is it because they're trying to prop her up so much that make her think that she is capable of doing this and she can't?
Bro, listen. I like I said, I'm gonna stick to this. What I said before. I think that they know she's not gonna win. Okay, I think they know she's not gonna win, but they wanted that money. Like, we're gonna lose all this money if we don't get. You know what I'm saying? That's what's really going on here.
I agree.
That's what it is.
I agree. It's just weird, man. Like, I understand. I make mistakes when I talk. All of the things. We're a human, but there's a trend with these people they're putting up on the Democratic side. A trend. They can't talk. And how people are doing this, are accepting this, is beyond me.
Let me answer Tiffany real quick. First off, Tiffany, how you doing, my sister? I'm glad to see you here. In my opinion, all right, in my opinion, this is just for me, right? Yeah, it says how is she not qualified and Trump is? She's not qualified because she doesn't have any plans for the future is all she has is quotes that she would say, mantras that she would say on stage to say that we are about the future. Trump is about the past and we are about the future. But she doesn't know what that future looks like. She still doesn't put forth any policy. She has ideas, but she has not put forth any policy. And lastly, what qualifies her to be, or I'm sorry, for Trump to be the president is he already was. And we know what it was like underneath him.
Right.
That's the main point. That's the main point for me, sister. And if you disagree, I understand. If you are voting for Kamala, yo, that is between you and the ballot box. That ain't got nothing to do with me. The point of me talking about it is just because I'm trying to persuade people not to, because I've seen how good America was underneath Trump. But my sister, you are welcome here on this space, man. And I hope that you enjoy the show. And I hope you don't get too upset about our commentary, but just know I'm your brother. All right.
I think she's in our corner. She said it was horrible. So she's probably there. She's feeling it. When it comes to this whole thing, I just don't get it, guys. Like, when it comes to our entire nation, we can't pick anything better. Really? You can't come up with anybody better? Hakeem Jeffries at least can talk. Like, you don't at least try him? Like,
yeah.
What are you doing? Oh, it's probably because Kamala's a pushover and will just sign anything that comes to her desk. Hakeem Jeffries will probably not do that.
Well, the thing is, for me, is like, she's not about the people, you know,
No.
and you can look at her history and all the things that she's done within her career. Like, people act like this is a good thing that she's done throughout her career. If you go and ask the people of California, you know, that you know had to deal with her, say in the courtroom, they'll tell you how horrible she was. We've had multiple clips of it, multiple people that are from there speaking about her. You have people that know her personally come out speaking bad about her. And for Trump, it's like he never had a political career at all. And then he came in 4 years and created an amazing America. You know what I'm saying? He was bringing us back to life again until COVID, you know. I'll be fair about that. COVID, not everything Trump did was perfect. I'll say that as well, but it was still better than what Joe Biden has done, and in my opinion, and what Kamala might do, you know, possibly if they, you know, give her the script to say that she will. I don't even know what her plans are. I hear her ideas about things, but nothing about how she's going to get it done. And I challenge people to go and check this out, right? She said that she's going to sign that border bill into law on day one. How can you do that if the Republicans wouldn't pass it through? The Republicans
she has better chances of doing it now.
Yeah, and that's my whole thing. So you're already lying to the people, and
right.
People hate Trump so bad that they're not willing to just look at that and just listen and like really do your own research. And sister, I see what you said. You said Trump isn't for blacks at all. He did sign a bipartisan HBCU bill. What has he done for blacks and browns? Well, sister, I mean, we had the lowest unemployment for all ethnicities, not just blacks and Hispanics, but for everybody in America underneath Trump. He also did the opportunity zones. He also signed the First Step Act into law, which helped me get home out of prison. I just came home from prison in February. And he started back manufacturing jobs heavy. The automobile industry, that got a big boom. And if he would have gotten elected again in 2020, we would have had the platinum plan. And he was the only one willing to do that. Biden, this is from Ice Cube's mouth. This isn't me making nothing up. Ice Cube said that when he called and tried to talk to Biden, Biden told him, just wait, you know, if I win, first let me get through this election if I win, and then we'll talk about it. Instead of saying, I will commit to this on day one if I get in office and we will get this done, he told him just wait and then we'll talk about it. Whereas Trump, he went and sat down with him and Trump said, fine, let's do it. I'm game. You know, I'll sign it in. As soon as we're done with this, I got you. We'll put it in the law. He even campaigned on it. It was part of his campaign promise in 2020. So there's a lot, sister. I mean, if you're willing to really have the conversation and do the homework and you look into it for yourself, you can see it. You know, it's out there. It is out there.
Yeah, and we're not going to make this all about Trump. Tonight is all about Kamala for the most part. One of the things just to tack on is that this is my biggest statement. Like this one right here, no new wars. You can't beat that.
Yeah.
Name a president that has done that within modern, like recent time.
Yep.
Every single president has started some conflict or been involved in some conflict. Like,
Yep.
that is a huge deal. And it has nothing to do with the color of your skin. That is for every American and many other countries around the world. That is the important part about it.
And he
Our
got close to
government
peace in the Middle
promotes,
East.
yeah, our government promotes war, regardless of party, regardless of color of your skin. Our government promotes war, and so
100%.
you're putting somebody in there that is not buying into it. But it might be starting. So we got 2 minutes and 20 seconds. So you guys know I'm keeping an eye on it on the other screen here. We'll be able to throw this up as soon as they start. We just don't want to hear their babbling because it's garbage.
So in the meantime, in between time, everybody that's watching us right now, can you please do me the favor of smashing that like button for me on YouTube or wherever you're watching from, and hit that share button. And if you're on X, can you give us a repost? That would be greatly appreciated. We're trying to rebuild all of this from the ground up, and we can't do it without your help. So hit that. And if you haven't already, please ring that notification bell on the YouTube channel. Ring the notification bell so you never miss another episode. All right. Thank you. Appreciate you. Love ya. Oh, big announcement for everybody that's watching right now. We're going to be doing live radio shows. Kaecey's going to be helping me with this. As soon as we get the what's it called in? The machine in to do it, it'll be here Tuesday or Wednesday, and we're going to get this thing going. You'll be able to call in live on the air, not just comment. You could call in and make your voice heard. I can't wait for that. So, yeah, make sure you hit that notification bell so you don't miss another update.
Mm-hmm. This is another big news tomorrow. I'm trying not to hype it up because I don't know who's pushing this plan, but this could be a great thing for tomorrow to be on the lookout for. Is the whole story around the pipe bomber. You'll see it on all of our stuff. We'll be sharing it, but I'm not trying to hype up that story because it came out of nowhere that it's coming up. So it makes me think that something in government has their hands in that. It might not be what we think it is.
Yeah, could be. Might be right.
And so we're gonna find out, but it's gonna be weird. We got 40 seconds. Just show you guys. We're still
shout out Binary B.
All right. So yeah, I think
how long we got left?
Like seconds.
If you haven't yet, please, guys, go over to pill.net, PILLED.net, and create an account, because that's where we're going to do our late night radio show, and it's going to get off the cuff over there. You could call in and say whatever the hell you want to live on the air. We can't do that here on YouTube or X or any of the other places. You can only say certain things. Certain things will get us kicked off. So when we do this on pill.net, you're not going to want to miss it. Please go and create your account for free at some point. All right, do that.
Battleground Georgia, a watershed moment in the 2024 campaign, and you will see it only here on CNN. You can hear that, right?
Yeah.
Democratic presidential nominee Kamala Harris and vice presidential nominee Tim Walz.
Hello. Hi. Hi. How are you?
Tonight, the new Democratic ticket in their first interview.
Hi, crew.
In the final sprint to Election Day,
1, 2, 3.
Their top priorities for the country. What would you do on day one in the White House? The top questions on their records.
Yeah,
the
right.
Steps that you're talking about now, why haven't you done them already? What do you say to voters who aren't sure whether
an overlay.
you at your word? Taking on Donald Trump.
I can create one. I'm just too lazy.
You have never interacted with him, met him face to face.
I hate these little watermarks, man.
From Joe Biden.
Scare me.
A little too much information.
And their
CNN can shove it.
Viral convention images.
It's very humbling. It's very humbling in many ways.
I don't know as a father I could have ever imagined that.
That's the $1 million question. Why not live? You know why.
We know why.
A defining moment in the race for the White House. CNN's exclusive interview of the Democratic nominees starts now.
Oh my.
We're in the Hunger Games, guys. That's what's going on. We live in the Hunger Games.
I volunteer as tribute.
Good evening. We're live from Savannah, Georgia. I'm Dana Bash, and this is a state very much up for grabs. In between a whirlwind series of stops, I sat down with the Democratic candidate for president and her running mate today at Kim's Cafe here in Savannah. Inside, nothing was off the table, and you will see our interview in its entirety. The vice president first as her party's standard bearer, responding to her critics and answering our questions.
Oh, showing she can walk upstairs.
Good to see you.
This is
That's a
not
step up from Joe.
President Harris thought she would be.
We're going to Georgia.
Yes. 7th trip there this year for me.
A surprise nominee for president just months from Election Day. Set in motion after a stunning debate.
Look, if we finally beat Medicare,
some within your own party are wondering if President Biden should even step aside. What do you say to that?
There was a slow start, but it was a strong finish.
And then an extraordinary decision.
I've decided the best way forward.
Pilled.net. PILLED.
Generation.
Pilled.net, Shauna.
What usually takes years of planning, coming together in a matter of weeks.
Jim Wall.
Zero.
After a historic nomination at the convention in Chicago,
On behalf of everyone whose story could only be
That's because we're better.
in the greatest nation on earth.
I accept your nomination to be president of the United States of America.
Of course she would.
Yo.
Harris Walz's ticket is now pushing forward with the shortest presidential campaign in modern history.
Correction. Shortest bus in modern history.
We joined them
You're
on the
unhinged.
trail as they visited the battleground of Georgia. Just 68 days from the election.
Madam Vice President, Governor Walz, thank you so much for sitting down with me and bringing the bus. The bus tour is well underway
Short
here in
bus.
Georgia. You have less time to make your case to voters than any candidate in modern American
By design.
history. The voters are really eager to hear what your plans are. If you are elected, what would you do on day one in the White House?
Well, there are a number of things. I will tell you first and foremost, one of my highest priorities is to do what we can to support and strengthen the middle class. When I
Vague.
look at the aspirations, the goals, the ambitions of the American people, I think that people are ready for a new way forward. In a way that generations of Americans have been fueled by hope and by optimism. I think sadly, in the last decade, we have had in the former president someone who has really been pushing an agenda and an environment that is about diminishing
I want to
the character and the strength of who we are as
know
Americans.
how you're going to strengthen the middle class.
Really dividing our
Too
nation.
tough of a question.
And I think people are ready to turn the page on that.
So what would you do day one?
Day one, it's going to be about one, implementing my plan for what I call an opportunity economy. I've already laid out a number of proposals in that regard, which include what we're going to do to bring down the cost of everyday goods, what we're going to do to invest in
Why not
America's small
today?
businesses, what we're going to do to invest in families, for example, extending the child tax credit to $6,000 for families for the first year of their child's life to help them buy a car seat, to help them buy baby clothes, a crib. There's the work that we're going to do that is about
Which is a J.D. Vance
investing
thing.
in the American family around affordable housing, a big issue in our country right now. So there are a number of things on day one.
What about you?
Well, I'm excited about this agenda too. As I said, the idea of inspiring America to what can be. And I think many of these things that the vice president's proposing are things that we share in values. And the child tax credit is one we know that reduces childhood poverty by 1/3. We did it in Minnesota to have a federal partner in this. Unbelievable, I think.
And also employed more federal
You
employees
talk
than
about, you call it the
ever in
opportunity
history.
Economy. You are well aware that right now many Americans are struggling. There's a crisis of affordability.
Yeah.
One of your campaign themes is we're not going back. But I wonder what you say to voters who do want to go back when it comes to the economy specifically,
Me.
because their
Me. I'm
groceries
that guy.
were less expensive, housing was more affordable when Donald Trump was president.
Well, let's start with the fact that when Joe Biden and I came in office, during the height of a pandemic, we saw over 10 million jobs were lost. People, I mean, literally, we were all tracking the numbers. Hundreds of people a day were dying because of COVID. The economy had crashed. In large part, all of that because of mismanagement by Donald Trump of that crisis. When we came in, our highest priority was to do what we could to rescue America. And today, we know that we have inflation at under 3%. A lot of our policies have led to the reality that America recovered faster than any wealthy nation around the world. But you are right. Prices, in particular for groceries, are still too high. The American people know it, I know it, which is why my agenda includes what we need to do to bring down the price of groceries. For example, dealing with an issue like price gouging, what we need to do to extend the child tax credit to help young families be able to take care of their children in their most formative years, what we need to do to bring down the cost of housing. My proposal includes what would be a tax credit of $25,000 for first-time home buyers, so they can just have enough to put a down payment on a home, which is part of the American dream and their aspiration, but do it in a way that allows them to actually get on the path to achieving that goal and that dream.
So you have been vice president for 3.5 years.
Yeah.
The steps that you're talking about now, why haven't you done them already?
Yes.
Well, first of all, we had to recover as an economy, and we have done that. I'm very proud of the work that we have done that has brought inflation down to less than 3%. The work that we have done to cap the cost of insulin at $35 a month for seniors. Donald Trump said he was going to do a number of things, including allowing Medicare to negotiate drug prices.
That wasn't her.
He did.
That was not her or
now,
Biden. That was
as
Trump.
As I travel in the state of Georgia and around our country, the number of seniors that have benefited. I was in Nevada recently, a grandmother who showed me her receipts. And before we capped the cost of insulin for seniors at $35 a month, she was paying hundreds of dollars, up to thousands of dollars a month for her insulin. She's not doing that anymore.
You maintain Bidenomics is a success.
I maintain that when we do the work of bringing down prescription medication for the American people, including capping the cost of the annual cost of prescription medication for seniors at $2,000.
For seniors.
Do what we did in the first year of being in office to extend the child tax credit so that we cut child poverty in America by over 50%. When we do what we have done to invest in the American people and bringing manufacturing back to the United States so that we created over 800,000 new manufacturing jobs, bringing business back to America, what we have done to improve the supply chain so we're not relying on foreign governments to supply American families with their basic needs, I'll say that that's good work. There's more to do, but that's good work.
I want to get some clarity on where you stand on some key policy issues. Energy is a big one. When you were in Congress, you supported the Green New Deal. And in 2019, you said, quote, "There is no question I'm in favor of banning fracking." Fracking, as you know, is a pretty big issue, particularly in your must-win state.
Don't get too excited. I can shut down all of those.
Do you still want to ban fracking?
No, and I made that clear on the debate stage in 2020.
We're ready.
That I would not ban fracking. As vice president, I did not ban fracking. As president, I will not ban fracking.
That sounds a lot like Fetterman.
2019, I believe, at a town hall, you said you were asked, would you commit to implementing a federal ban on fracking on your first day in office? And you said, there's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. So yes. So it changed in that campaign?
In 2020, I made very clear where I stand. We are in 2024, and I've not changed that position, nor will I going forward. I kept my word, and I will keep my word.
What made you change that position at the time?
Well, let's be clear. My values have not changed. I believe it is very important that we take seriously what we must do to guard against what is a clear crisis in terms of the climate. And to do that, we can do what we have accomplished thus far. The Inflation Reduction Act, what we have done to invest, by my calculation, over probably $1 trillion over the next 10 years, investing in a clean energy economy. What we've already done, creating over 300,000 new clean energy jobs. That tells me, from my experience as vice president, we can do it without banning fracking. In fact, Dana, I cast the tie-breaking vote that actually increased leases for fracking as vice president. So I'm very clear about where I stand.
And was there some policy or scientific data that you saw that you said, oh, okay, I get it now?
What I have seen is that we can
we can grow and we can increase a thriving clean energy economy without banning fracking.
Okay.
That's fair. I'm not mad at her for that, though.
As Vice
That's
President,
fair.
you're tasked with addressing the root causes of migration in southern countries and
northern part of Central America.
The northern part of Central America that affects the southern border of the U.S. During the Biden-Harris administration, there were record numbers of illegal border crossings. Why did the Biden-Harris administration wait 3.5 years to implement sweeping asylum restrictions?
Well, first of all, the root causes work that I did as vice president, that I was asked to do by the president, has actually resulted in a number of benefits, including historic investments by American businesses in that region. The number of immigrants coming from that region has actually reduced since we began that work. But I will say this, that Joe Biden and I and our administration worked with members of the United States Congress on an immigration issue that is very significant to the American people and to our security, which is the border. And through bipartisan work, including some of the most conservative members of the United States Congress, a bill was crafted, which we supported, which I support.
She's about to tell the lie.
And Donald Trump got word of this bill that would have contributed to securing our border. And because he believes that it would not have helped him politically,
there's the lie.
He told his folks in Congress, don't put it forward. He killed the bill.
You had $65 billion in Ukraine funding.
100 more agents on the border. And let me tell you something, the Border Patrol endorsed the bill. And I'm sure in large part because they knew they were working around the clock and 1,500 more agents would help them. That bill would have allowed us to increase seizures of fentanyl. Ask any community in America that has been devastated by fentanyl, what passing that bill would have done to address their concern and a pain that they've experienced.
So you would push that legislation again. I just want to ask
about push it. I will make sure that it comes to my desk and I will sign it.
Just one other question.
You can't do that.
You can't. That's an abuse of power. How are you going to make sure it comes to your desk?
When you first ran, there was a debate. You raised your hand when asked whether or not the border should be decriminalized. Do you still believe that?
I believe there should be consequence. We have laws that have to be followed and enforced that address and deal with people who cross our border illegally, and there should be consequence. And let's be clear, in this race, I'm the only person who has prosecuted transnational criminal organizations who traffic in guns, drugs, and human beings. I'm the only person in this race who actually served a border state as Attorney General to enforce our laws. And I would enforce our laws as president going forward. I recognize the problem.
Generally speaking, how should voters look at some of the changes that you've made, that you've explained some of here in your policy? Is it because you have more experience now and you've learned more about the information? Is it because you were running for president in a Democratic primary? And should they feel comfortable and confident that what you're saying now is going to be your policy moving forward?
Dana, I think the most important and most significant aspect of my policy perspective and decisions is my values have not changed. You mentioned the Green New Deal. I have always believed, and I worked on it, that the climate crisis is real, that it is an urgent matter to which we should apply metrics that include holding ourselves to deadlines around time. We did that with the Inflation Reduction Act. We have set goals for the United States of America and by extension the globe around when we should meet certain standards for reduction of greenhouse gas emissions, as an example. That value has not changed. My value around what we need to do to secure our border, that value has not changed. I spent 2 terms as the Attorney General of California prosecuting transnational criminal organizations, violations of American laws regarding the illegal passage of guns, drugs, and human beings across our border.
Yeah, but you had a different motive.
So that is the reality of it. And 4 years of being vice president, I'll tell you,
he looks pretty. That's why.
The aspects to your point is traveling the country extensively. I mean, I'm here in Georgia. I think somebody told me 17 times since I've been vice president in Georgia alone. I believe it is important to build consensus. And it is important to find a common place of understanding of where we can actually solve problems.
On that note, you had a lot of Republican speakers at the convention. Will you appoint a Republican to your cabinet?
Yes, I would.
Anyone
Yes,
in mind?
I would. No one in particular in mind. I got to.
So no, she wouldn't.
This election, so I'm not putting the cart before the horse. But I would. I think it's really important. I have spent my career inviting diversity of opinion. I think it's important to have people at the table when some of the most important decisions are being made that have different views, different experiences. And I think it would be to the benefit of the American public to have a member of my cabinet who was a Republican.
That was just the start of our wide-ranging conversation.
We're going to probably go to commercial.
Never before shared details about the phone call that changed everything between President Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris.
Interesting.
I'm just curious, staying on President Biden, when he called you and said he was pulling out of the race.
Here, we're going to pull that down, and we're going to talk.
Yeah, I got to make a point of something real quick.
Go ahead.
She was talking about how she prosecuted. She's the only prosecutor running, and she prosecuted immigrants that crossed illegally. You had a different motive then. See, right now you don't care because you don't have to get a high conviction rating. The only reason why you prosecuted all of those people coming across the border was because you wanted a high conviction rating. It's the same reason why you kept so many black men in jail wrongly. And
yeah, hang on. I think they might be coming back. Hang on.
How you've described your service in the National Guard.
they
You
were
said
going to
that
a
you carried
commercial.
weapons in war, but you have never deployed actually in
It seems like
a
it's
war
going to go to
zone.
a commercial
A campaign
still.
official said that you misspoke. Did you?
Because they're calling out Walz. Yeah, I think they are. Sorry, dude. Go ahead.
No, it's just like I say, man, it's a different motive. You know, if you cared about the border as much as you say that you do right now, you would do something about it right now. You have Colorado being flooded and taken over. They literally took over the apartment complex that I told you guys about before this happened. I told you that what was going on in Colorado, right? And they have completely taken over the complex, completely taken it over, and nothing's being done about it. You don't hear the president talking about it. How come they have not spoke about that? Why?
Because they don't want to.
That's not a Colorado problem. It is an American problem. This is for the federal government to step in because you're the ones that made the call to allow these people to come into the country. So why are you not sending the people that within your power to go and handle this situation? Number one. Number two, if you really cared about people crossing over into this country and prosecuting them as much as you did when you were thank you, I appreciate that. As much as you were when you were a prosecutor, right now, you will be taking a stand about what's going on in Chicago with them being flooded into the community. They're giving immigrants housing. I'm talking about they're about to literally buy them a house. The government. I don't know why this isn't in national news right now. They are literally about to fund them to literally own a home in the United States of America, paid for by the government. How is that a thing? But you're only going to give $25,000 to first-time home buyers here in America. That's your plan.
Which
that's cool.
$25,000 for how much the housing prices have gone up over the last 5 years is barely a dent in most markets. Here in Utah, our housing market is just insane. $25,000 won't even help you get a down payment.
I'm trying to tell you,
it won't. You won't be able to get to the 20% that a lot of people try to get to. And $25,000 will help you probably get a zero down payment loan that you can potentially just use that to help get your approval rating up, or whatever the requirements are. But it's not going to help you afford the home. All that's doing is taking taxpayer money and giving more of it to Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac and the big lenders. So it is a transfer of wealth. That's all it is. It's taking taxpayer money and then just giving it to the rich people. It doesn't help anybody.
Tiffany, it depends on to answer your question, it depends on the amount of the house. So I think it's like 20 or 30% you got to have down for a down payment to buy a home. 25,000 isn't going to meet that. It's not going to meet that. That's not even 10%. You know what I'm saying, of a real house.
Yeah, it's insane. The other thing that she talked about, she said they brought 800,000 manufacturing jobs in America. Please tell me where. because you bloated up the job numbers from April of 2023 through April of 2022 through March of 2023, and you blew them up by 818,000 jobs, and that wasn't even real. Like, they are now removed from the reporting. So your administration was lying about how great the economy has been for at least that period of time, but I will say your entire time of office.
Pull that comment up by Karen BYK. Right there. There are 0 down loans now. They will make that available to illegals. Very true. They already do. That's that's my whole point. So I'm not saying that I'm not. Oh, they're coming back on. All right, go ahead.
Tim Walz. In just 12 days, Harris will meet Donald Trump on a debate stage in Philadelphia. And when I say meet, I mean literally meet. Would you believe they have never talked face to face? The only time they've even been in the same room was when Harris was a senator watching Trump's State of the Union address. Now it's Trump watching Harris on the campaign trail with money and momentum behind her and making her case directly to voters.
As voters are getting to know Kamala Harris, they want answers on how she will make their lives better. She heard that here at Sandfly Barbecue in Savannah.
What we're going to do to increase access to capital for small businesses, I'll be rolling out next week. Part of what we're going to be doing in terms of a tax credit.
On the trail, she talks about her experience, years in the courtroom as a district attorney and eventually California's attorney general. She wants to reframe the contest as the prosecutor versus the felon.
I know Donald Trump's type. I've been dealing with them my whole career.
100%, Tony.
Is turning to a well-defined playbook of personal attacks.
I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black.
And in just 12 days, the nominees
Trump's not wrong.
Face-to-face for the first time.
She's not a good debater. She's not a smart person. She doesn't want to debate.
If you got something to say,
but you keep denying the debates.
I want to ask you about your opponent, Donald Trump.
Okay.
I was a little bit surprised. People might be surprised to hear that you have never interacted with him, met him face to face. That's going to change soon. But what I want to ask you about is what he said last month. He suggested that you happened to turn black recently for political purposes, questioning a core part of your identity.
Yeah.
No.
Same old tired playbook. Next question, please.
That's it?
So no answer?
Okay.
No
Let's
answer?
talk about some foreign policy issues that would be on your plate if you become commander-in-chief. President Biden has tried unsuccessfully to end the war between Israel and Hamas in Gaza. He's been doing it for months and months, along with you. Would you do anything differently? For example, would you withhold some U.S. weapons shipments to Israel? That's what a lot of people on the progressive left want you to do.
Let me be very clear.
I was thinking the same thing.
And unwavering in my commitment to Israel's defense and its ability to defend itself. And that's not going to change. But let's take a step back. October 7, 1,200 people were massacred. Many young people who were simply attending a music festival. Women were horribly raped. As I said then, I say today, Israel has a right to defend itself. We would. And how it does so matters. Far too many innocent Palestinians have been killed. And we have got to get a deal done. We were in Doha. We have to get a deal done. This war must end.
In the meantime,
and we must get a deal that is about getting the hostages out. I've met with the families of the American hostages. Let's get the hostages out. Let's get the ceasefire done.
but no change in policy in terms of arms and so forth.
No, we have to get a deal done. Dana, we have to get a deal done. When you look at the significance of this to the families, to the people who are living in that region, a deal is not only the right thing to do to end this war, but will unlock so much of what must happen next. I remain committed since I've been on October 8th to what we must do to work toward a two-state solution where Israel is secure and in equal measure, the Palestinians have security and self-determination and dignity.
It's none of our business.
Governor Walz, the country is just starting to get to know you. I want to ask you.
No, we knew
question
him
about
pretty
how
well
you
in 2020.
described your service in the National Guard. You said that you carried weapons in war, but you have never deployed actually in a war zone.
Stolen
Campaign
valor.
officials said that you misspoke. Did you?
Well, first of all, I'm incredibly proud. I've done 24 years of wearing the uniform of this country. Equally proud of my service in a public school classroom, whether it's Congress or the governor. My record speaks for itself, but I think people are coming to get to know me. I speak like they do. I speak candidly. I wear my emotions on my sleeves, and I speak especially passionately about our children being shot in schools and around guns. So I think people
Knew
know
it.
me. They
Gun
know who I
violence.
am. They know where.
What about children being
where my
shot with
heart is.
hormones?
And again, my record has been out there for over 40 years to speak for itself.
And the idea that you said that you were in war, did you misspeak as the campaign has said?
Yeah, I said we were talking about, in this case, this was after a school shooting, the ideas of carrying these weapons of war. And my wife, the English teacher, told me my grammar is not always correct. But again, if it's not this, it's an attack on my children for showing love for me, or it's an attack on my dog. I'm not going to do that. And the one thing I'll never do is
how you lied about your dog?
Service in any way. I never have, and I never will.
I just one other question, because again, this is all new.
Yeah.
I mean, this was not however many days ago. This was not on either of your bingo cards, especially yours. You had to clarify that you had said that you and your wife used IVF.
I agree.
But it turned out you used a different kind of fertility in order to have children. And then when you ran for Congress in 2006, your campaign repeatedly made false statements about a 1995 arrest for drunk and reckless driving. What do you say to voters who aren't sure whether they can take you at your word?
Well, I've been very public. I think they can see my students come out, former folks I've served with, and they vouch for me. I certainly own my mistakes when I make them. The one thing I'll tell you is,
you're not.
I wish in this country wouldn't have to do this. I spoke about our infertility issues because it's hell, and families know this. And I spoke about the treatments that were available to us that had those beautiful children there. That's quite a contrast in folks that are trying to take those rights away from us. And so I think people know who I am. They know that.
We'll talk about that in a minute, Jamie.
I've taught thousands of students. I've been out there, and I won't apologize for speaking passionately, whether it's guns in schools or protecting of reproductive rights. The contrast could not be clearer between what we're running against. The vice president's position on this has been clear. And I think most Americans get it if you've been through that. I don't think they're cutting hairs on IVF or IUI. I think what they're cutting hairs on is an abortion ban and the ability to be able to deny families the chance to have a beautiful child.
Spin artist. What?
Up next, the moment that changed everything when Kamala Harris got a phone call from President Biden that he was dropping out
What
of the
the
race.
freak? So many.
It was.
This has got to be a commercial
it was
break.
a
We're going to pull
Sunday.
this down and talk. Like,
Yeah.
the part
Okay,
that
so
I find
Go ahead.
weird about this, like, his dogs. Donna, if you haven't seen this, there are 2 tweets that he put out back in the day talking about his dog named Scout. One dog was a black lab mix type of dog, and then another one looked like a pointer named Scout. And then the one that was named Pointer that was more of a yellow white dog, he deleted that post later. So he was lying about his dog on his social media posts, and he just was trying to say, trying to make this about that. But no, he was literally lying to everybody on social media and tried to cover it up by deleting the post. Sorry, go ahead, Kash.
Well, I find it interesting how he just spun that question. Number one, also before that, I find it interesting with Kamala, right? Kamala. She just doubled down. So all the Palestinian supporters and all the people that have a real big, issue with the war going on over there and they stand in defense of Palestine, she just really pissed them off with that one. Her exact quote, she said, I'm unwavering in my defense of Israel's defense and its ability to defend itself. Yeah. So no, and she also said she's not for no change in policy on how things are being done. So that's huge I feel like that's a huge blow to her campaign. That's a huge blow for people because a lot of the country is really involved in it. They feel like it's happening to them. And the last thing,
to who that is a huge blow to call
that's
it out.
a huge blow to her. That's a huge blow to Kamala Harris's campaign.
But by what party? What group?
Liberals, millennials,
So the people that want to support Hamas or want to support Israel?
the people that want to support Hamas.
Okay.
That's a huge blow to millennials. A lot of millennials, a lot of the LGBTQ community that stand for them. That's a lot. So the last thing, Walz, she asked him, "Did you misspeak?" And he basically said no. Matter of fact, he said he never lied. That's out of his mouth. He never lied. That's what he just got done saying. He never lied. And and then he lied about his dog. So
when it comes down to it, like, he deleted a tweet. So, like, for people saying that this didn't happen, like, then fine. I'm perfectly okay with being corrected, but we're taking his word for it. We already know we can't trust him, and you're taking his word. But I want to know, why does two tweets exist? Why did two tweets exist with two different dogs with the same name? Why is that a thing? I'm looking for it right now. But overall, like, when he says that I am proud of my service and what I have done, all of those things, why are you proud of locking down and shooting people with paintball guns, telling them to go back into their home during COVID? That's what you pushed within your state. Like, there's nothing for him that we should be proud of.
No.
Here's a picture real quick. Let me go ahead and
basically, Kamala Harris is just, she just literally, I'm telling you, watch how the Palestinian supporters are going to be upset tomorrow.
So this is the post, the two posts. You have one in June 2022, one in October 2022. Both say my pup Scout or my dog Scout, and they're 4 months apart. And look at the two different dogs.
We named them both Scout because one died.
4 months apart.
Yeah, one died of parvo, and then he named the other one Scout.
Okay, like,
I'm just kidding.
fine.
I don't know if that's true or not. I just made that up.
But
you know, the Kamala, she just said, she said that let's be clear about what happened on October 7th. A lot of women were, sexually assaulted, and all of these things, basically giving the excuse of Israel's response, saying it's okay what's happening over there. We're okay with it. We would have done the same thing. Which I don't disagree with what she said, but it's just it's going to be really nice to see what people have to say about this that are Palestine supporters.
So look at right at the screen, and I will. But the thing is why did Tim Walz post it saying his dog when he knew it wasn't his dog? So stop. That's just stupid. Just absolutely stupid.
What Kamala Harris was doing when she answered. But we started this discussion with the moment that set all of this in motion, CNN's presidential debate, and whether President Biden was strong enough to lead this nation again.
Vice President Harris, you were a very staunch defender of President Biden's capacity to serve another 4 years. Right after the debate, you insisted that President Biden is extraordinarily strong. Given where we are now, do you have any regrets about what you told the American people?
No, not at all. Not at all.
What?
I have served with President Biden for almost 4 years now, and I'll tell you, it's one of the greatest honors of my career, truly. He cares so deeply about the American people. He is so smart and loyal to the American people. And I have spent hours upon hours with him, be it in the Oval Office or the Situation Room. He has the intelligence, the commitment, and the judgment and disposition
of a peanut.
I think the American people rightly deserve in their president. By contrast, the former president has none of that. And so, one, I am so proud to have served as vice president to Joe Biden. And two, I am so proud to be running with Tim Walz for president of the United States.
He looks
and
embarrassed. Like he
bring
looks
America
shamed.
what I believe the American people deserve, which is a
She
new
looks like she
way
aged like
forward,
10
and turn
years
the
in the last
page
2 months.
on the last
Presidency
decade,
does that.
what I believe has been contrary to where the spirit of our country really lies.
But the last decade, of course, the last 3.5 years has been part of
They
your
are spin
administration.
artists.
I'm
Dude.
talking about an era that started
He's
about a
dodging the
decade
question.
ago, where there is some suggestion, warped, I believe it to be, that the measure of the strength of a leader is based on who you beat down, instead of where I believe most Americans are, which is to believe that the true measure of the strength of a leader is based on who you lift up. That's what's at stake as much as any other detail that we could discuss in this election.
Because we haven't had a chance to talk, I'm just curious, staying on President Biden, when he
Not
called you
cute.
and said
No.
he was pulling
No.
out of the race,
Mine are.
what was that like? And did he offer to endorse you right away, or did you ask for it?
It was a Sunday, so here I'll give you a little too much information.
Go for it. There's no such thing.
Oh, there's the cackle.
My family was staying with us, and including my baby nieces, and we had just had pancakes and, Auntie, can I have more bacon? Yes, I'll make you more bacon. And then
I'm not trying to relate as a suburban mom.
down to do a puzzle. And the phone rang, and it was
Family
Joe Biden.
oriented.
And he told me what he had decided to do. And I asked him, "Are you sure?" And he said yes. And but that's how I learned about it.
What
Bullshit.
about the endorsement?
Lies.
Did you ask for it?
He was very clear that he was going to support me.
So when he called to tell you, he said, "I'm pulling out of the race and I'm going to support you."
Well, my first thought was not about me, to be honest with you.
Then
My
why
first
didn't
thought
he
was about
immediately
him,
endorse you?
to be honest. I think history is going to show a number of things about Joe Biden's presidency.
It was horrible.
I
He's
think
worse than
history
Jimmy
is gonna
Carter.
show that in so many ways it was transformative.
He had a hand up
Be
his
it
butt.
on what we have accomplished around finally investing in America's infrastructure, investing in new economies, in new industries, what we have done to bring our allies back together and have confidence in who we are as America and grow that alliance, what we have done to stand true to our principles, including the one of the most important international rules and norms, which is the importance of sovereignty and territorial integrity. And I think history is going to show not only has Joe Biden led an administration that has achieved those extraordinary successes, but the character of the man is one that he has been in his life and career, including as a president, quite selfless and puts the American people first.
No.
A passionate defense of the man who chose her
What the
to be
freak?
his running mate 4 years ago.
This was a really messed up
Later,
interview.
Harris made a choice of her own. And with Governor Walz's rise to national prominence, a star was born at the convention.
Oh,
Gus
no.
Walz.
Yeah, we're pulling that down for right now.
Who is that?
That's his son that's on the spectrum or has a learning disability, one of the two. I don't know the difference. But he was super proud that his dad said, "I'm proud of you, son." And it's a whole different scenario. We'll get into it if they go over it. If not, we'll go into the end. But I find it weird that we get like 2 questions in and then we're already hitting another commercial.
I don't find it weird at all. You knew what this was. Overall, this event isn't. If you count the commercial breaks and how much time they've spent dodging questions, they've literally only answered about 4 questions.
I don't even think 4.
This is crazy, bro. This is crazy that this is the world we're living in. Everything is the world is a stage, bro. The world is a stage, and you can see it how it's set up. It's set up so nice and cushiony, and it made it appear that the interviewer is doing a good job. She's not. They told her exactly how to run this interview. She's running it exactly the way she's supposed to, and they are reading exactly what they're supposed to read back. This is not a good interview, and the host is not doing a good job. It's all scripted. It's fake. The world is a stage.
Well, and I was going to wait until the end to say this. If you notice, they're super zoomed in on each other's face. They're not sitting back. So it's easy to cut. It's easy to cut back and forth if you don't like how something was said or this or that. You can easily cut back. It's not like it's sitting back to where you have to get everybody's position exactly the same to where the cut doesn't look weird. They're zoomed in on each other's face so they can easily cut in the right answer if they don't like the way they said something. And this was done at like 1:45 Eastern time today. So they had approximately 7-8 hours to record this whole thing. How many hours out of that do you think that they spent recording this?
Probably all of it. All of it.
I'm going to say for sure at least a few hours just to get a few questions in. Like, it can't go much longer after this. They're still playing the commercials right now, but it is insane. And to think that people are supporting this, they have no idea what these two people have as a policy or what they're going to do. They have just vague, empty promises.
And you know what's funny is it's not just the commercials. You got the filler talking. Before they even get back into sitting down for the interview, the filler talking. Let's look at how she went to Savannah and sat with and then let's look at her walking up with the plane. Now let's take a look at Walt's son crying because he said something to him. And it's a whole bunch of filler. It's probably about 20-minute interview, if that.
Well, you're saying compiled with all the cuts, right?
Yeah.
It's only they're saying 18 minutes is what it is. It's insane. 18 minutes. And you are going to vote for this person, and they only can put together 18 minutes of clips to be able to sell you on why you should vote for them. And some people on the liberal side are going to count this as a live interview.
I don't know, man. I think people are waking up. I see a lot more liberals actually speaking out against Kamala. I got faith. I got faith in the American people, bro, on the liberal side as well.
I'm not saying all of them. I said some. There's still going to be a good chunk of them.
Yeah, there will. They're not necessarily liberals though. Those are like robots, bro. They're not. I'm making a distinction between a real liberal and the liberals that call themselves liberals today. A real liberal is still, they're still pretty decent, bro. I know because I talk to a lot of them. I talk to people that are liberal, and it's just like talking to you. You know what I mean? It's different viewpoints, and I'm not lumping them in with whatever crowd they got going on supporting Kamala. That are just they don't even know why they're supporting her. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I don't know, man. The world is changing. I feel like people are waking up and they're starting to see it. It's a stage, bro. It is a stage. It's all fake. It is none of it's real that's coming from her. These candidates. Horrible.
We're coming back on.
President Kamala Harris and
Trump
her running mate,
2024
who was supposed to be, if you listened to some experts, a big name.
The only one that keeps it real all the way.
Pennsylvania or Arizona. But it is a little-known guy outside of his home state, where Minnesota nice is a source of pride. But behind all of that folksy humor and flannel, Tim Walz is far from just being Mr. Nice Guy when it comes to needling Donald Trump.
Whatever. There's no real man that has
you
those
obviously
mannerisms.
have spoken to voters all over your state for years.
Yes.
What are you learning in a place like Georgia?
We're seeing explosion in small business growth. The one thing is workforce and childcare, because workers have to have childcare.
Campaigning with Tim Walz,
Don't do it.
finding his role in this historic campaign.
Would you be my running mate and let's get this thing on the road?
I would be honored, Madam Vice President.
After bursting onto the national stage with this word.
These guys are just weird.
Known as a folksy father of two from rural America,
He is weird.
Now a running mate who is not holding back.
Listen to the guy. He's talking about Hannibal Lecter and shocking sharks and just whatever crazy thing pops into his mind.
And finding his own rhythm with his new boss.
What'd you order?
Brisket and greens and mac and cheese.
What about you?
I had the brisket and coleslaw on this.
And what about the spice situation, the Tabasco? What's happening with that?
I'm going to let him speak for himself.
The vice president's growing peppers at her residence, so she's trying to bring me along on this. You know,
Why is that a thing?
It's okay.
I'm getting there.
It's all good. You just do you.
I just have to ask you both.
Indians
about
love
two
spices.
standout moments.
I know.
Aside, of course.
But why does he have to
the
talk about it
addresses
so
that
much?
you both gave, but standout moments. that were perhaps unexpected during the convention. You mentioned one of them, Governor. A moment that you shared, that the world shared with your son, Gus. You were speaking, the camera caught him, so incredibly proud of you, so emotional.
I don't
saying,
have
"That's
anything
my
negative
dad."
to say about this situation
Yeah,
like the internet did.
I don't know as a father I could have ever imagined that. I'm grateful for so many reasons to be on this ticket, but that moment, to understand what was really important, to have my son feel a sense of pride in me, that I was trying to do the right thing. And it was, you try and protect your kids, it brings notoriety and things, but it was just such a
That's going to be what I touch
emotional
on later.
moment that I'm grateful I got to experience it, and I'm so proud of him. I'm proud of him. I'm proud of Hope. I'm proud of Gwen. She's a wonderful mother, and these are great kids. And I think the one thing is talking about the era we're in is our politics can be better. It can be different. We can show some of these things, and we can have families involved in this. And I hope that I hope people felt that out there, and I hope they hug their kids a little tighter, because you just never know, and life can be kind of hard.
And last question, Madam Vice President, the photograph that has gone viral. You were speaking, one of your grandnieces that you were just talking about was watching you accept the nomination. You didn't explicitly talk about gender or race in your speech, but it obviously means a lot to a lot of people, and that viral picture really says it. What does it mean to you?
I am running because I believe that I am the best person to do this job at this moment.
No, you don't.
For all Americans,
No,
regardless
you don't.
of race and gender. But I did see that photograph, and I was deeply touched by it. And you're right; it's the back of her head, her two little braids, and then I'm in the front of the photograph, obviously speaking, and it's very humbling. It's very humbling in many ways.
Did she talk to you about it afterwards?
Oh, she had a lot to talk about. She had a lot. She listened to everything, and she listens to everything.
Give you your hot takes?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Madam Vice President, Governor Walz, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it.
That is insane that that's just what ended this interview.
This was Vice President Harris's first real unscripted setting where voters
Come on.
explain some of her policy positions now and how they differ from before she became vice president.
Turn this off, bro. Turn
And
it
this
off.
was the first we heard those details about
Hang
an
on. I wanna hear what
extraordinary
she-
phone call from a president dropping out of the race and endorsing his vice president, something that will certainly go down in history. CNN has also invited both President Trump and Senator J.D. Vance to sit down with us. We hope to bring that interview to you as well. We have plenty of CNN special coverage ahead. I want to go to my friend and colleague, Abby Phillip, who is standing by with some of the best political.
That is just disgusting. That is crazy, bro. Like, I mean, and then let me just say this real quick, bro, because we throw a lot of shade. We do. We talk a lot of smack, right?
Facts.
But I want to say something, bro. Tim Walz. I think that Tim Walz, from just watching him and looking at him when he's talking and all of that, I don't think that he's got a bad spirit, bro. I think that he thinks that he's doing good. I think that when like the whole trend, the bringing the kids for the hormones, I think he really thinks that he's doing a good thing, which is why he's so proud of all of these things. And that comes from him being indoctrinated.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? I feel like he's got a really good spirit. I really do. I don't feel like he's a bad person. I feel like he's one of them guys that back in high school probably got picked on a little bit and was quiet. Like he wasn't popular, or none of that. And he stayed to himself and hung out with the kids that play like Magic the Gathering. You know what I'm saying? Like that. And
yeah.
So I don't think that he's a bad person. I think that he just buried himself in, like books, which is good. It's a good thing. But the type of things that he's learned along the way has led him to be the type of guy he is and support the policies that he does. This is how I'll phrase him. He's a liberal that has a heart that's not necessarily good. It's not towards good. He thinks it is. He's got a heart to do things that he thinks is for people, like doing some good, but it's not the right kind of good. Like, you know what I'm saying? You don't talking about guns in schools. And that was one thing I forgot to touch on when he was talking about the guns in schools, right? And he cares about kids losing their lives and all of these things. But yet, brother, you created a community that was geared to for parents that wanted to mutilate their children. And you don't see a problem with that. You don't see a problem with parents wanting to bring their children and let them be injected with hormones and take puberty blockers and all of these things, which is harmful to these kids. You don't see that as bad, but you see gun violence. But that's what I mean. Does that make more sense of what I'm trying to say?
I get what you're saying. Here's the part that I'll play this real quick clip. This is exactly what I'm going to talk about.
I think we need to push back on this. There's no guarantee to free speech on misinformation or hate speech, and especially around our democracy.
There is no guarantee to free speech regarding hate speech or to our democracy, which is completely ignorant. That is what you're trying to describe. He is ignorantly pushing policy. He doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know about the Constitution and what he's being elected to uphold. That is the problem. He's going off of what he believes in his heart or what he's told to believe. And that is what it is. He has no knowledge of anything of our checks and balances to ensure that we are upholding the Constitution and protecting all of the Americans in this country. He is just completely AWOL.
Yeah, I mean, you know me, I be trying to see the good in people. That's all.
I know you
That's
are.
all it is, man.
But
I definitely don't want him ever to be a vice president. I think he's a horrible governor. I'm just saying I don't think that he's a monster. That's all I'm saying. He's doing monstrous things, thinking he's doing good.
You remember him sending the National Guard and them shooting people with paintball guns to get back in their house?
Right, monstrous thing. But this is what I'm saying. Maybe he thought that he was doing good because he drank the Kool-Aid about the pandemic, thinking that if people come outside, everybody's gonna die.
Kash,
you know
what does God say about liars?
Yeah, you're right. I'm just saying, man. I don't know. I never want him. Hey guys, I never want him to get in office. All right, I never want him to be the vice president. I'm just, I don't see him as I don't know. I just don't get that. I don't think that he's trying to do things maliciously, if that makes any sense.
I get what you're saying. I just don't give an inch in these scenarios with politicians. I hate politicians. I don't trust them.
I can't stand this ticket. I ain't gonna lie. I can't stand a Harris Walz. I think it's like it's the most disturbing thing that I've seen, you know, so far with politics, bro. Like they are really out there. You know what I'm saying? Kamala, bro, like I don't get it. I don't get what people see. There's nothing really to like. I can't, even me trying to, like how I'm trying to humanize Walz, I can't really try to do that with Kamala when looking at her history and her knowing, like you knowingly kept people locked up, knowingly, on purpose. That is right there. Now that's wrong. That's pretty, you knew what you was doing. You know what I'm saying? And it was for your conviction rating and to get free labor for the state of California. So that I'm like, okay, I can't really try to humanize the things that she's done, but on the flip side with Walz, again, to be fair, I don't really know too much about him. I've looked up as much as I could so far, you know what I'm saying? And some of the things I've seen, they're disturbing, but I can understand from a brainwashed point of view. Like when you see the people with the mask that were getting mad about people not wearing masks, it wasn't because they wanted to just hate you they were scared out of their minds because they drank that Kool-Aid thinking, oh, if I wear this mask and you don't wear this mask, you're going to kill me. You know what I'm saying? It's like that.
Well, so the important thing,
willful idiots, exactly. There it is. Amber got it.
Regardless, he is a liar, and he's been caught lying multiple times about different things. And what does God tell us about liars?
That they go to hell.
They're evil, and that is the issue. Like, I don't trust these people. I don't. Like, I struggle with some of these other scenarios. Like, these guys are constantly covering their tracks of what they have laid down over the last few years. And now now it's all being dug up and put into the public. You can't do that. And that is where politics are, in my opinion, is changing for the future, for the better.
Yeah. You know, Kamala, man, Kamala, it's hard to say her
I
name
don't
the
care.
right way because
I
I've
don't
been
care.
saying
Say it
Kamala.
however you want.
All right, so she almost got me. I ain't gonna lie. She almost got me on that one part where she was talking about fracking. Because you know me, right? What's my phrase? The thing that I say: a wise man changes his mind often, but a fool knows all things except his own ignorance. Right?
Correct.
So when she said about the fracking, I thought that she was gonna say something like stupid or wrong. And when she said what she said, like, yo, I said it before, but now, I haven't changed my position because I learned that we could make better, cleaner energy while also still fracking. I'm like, oh, okay, so you got it right then. You know what I'm saying? You finally got something that's right, But then my brain kicked in and I'm like, but she's lying because that's what they do. Every Democratic president that's ever ran has made a position and then lied. They then turned their back and lied on it. So it's like, you're just playing the game is how I'm feeling towards her. Like, you're just playing the game right now because I've seen the type of person that you are, with your history, looking at your history. So you're just playing the game. You don't mean what you're saying.
So it's not a Democrat thing. Republicans do the same thing. Not all of them, but there's a bunch of them in office. But when you talk about fracking, this is the part that I love. This happened when you were locked up still. I don't know if you saw this clip, but this is one of my favorite clips.
Create energy independence.
I must correct the record.
Just a second, Mr. Oz. I do want to clarify something. You're saying tonight that you support fracking, that you've always supported fracking, but there is that 2018 interview that you said, quote, I don't support fracking at all. So how do you square the two?
I do support fracking, and I support fracking, and I stand and I do support fracking.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Fetterman.
That happened?
Yes.
Was that live on the air?
Yes. That was his debate with Dr.
He won.
And he won.
Wow. Wow.
So when they brought up fracking, this is exactly where my mind went, is this clip. And I'm like, we practically rinsed and repeated that same stutter, that same thing. It was just not as long of a pause.
Yo, that's crazy, bro. That is crazy.
Overall, tonight didn't prove anything to me. It didn't prove that they are capable of answering questions. Tony called it out. Tony Watley called it out earlier that it seems like they probably cut out a bunch of her cackles.
Yeah.
They allowed one to get in because if they cut them all out, it would be weird. And so they put one in. But I really think that they cut out most of her cackles, most of her laughs, and that stuff because that's what she's made fun of for. So overall, it was all fake. This entire thing was staged.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's it. That's about all for me, bro. You already know, everybody. If you haven't registered to vote, you need to get out there and do that. If you need help with that, if you don't know how to, reach out. We will help you. We will get you registered to vote. And yeah, I'm sorry, but yo, if you're not voting Trump, I'm not against you. Okay, use your vote however you want to use your vote. But if you're here and you're listening to this, please don't ignore any of the things that we just talked about today or what you heard. Go and look this stuff up, man. Please go and look this stuff up. Look into the candidate that you're voting for and understand why you're voting for them. Don't do it because of their race. Don't do it because of their gender. Don't do it because of any of those things. Don't vote for them just because they're your political party's candidate. Are they your candidate? Do they represent you and your beliefs and what you stand for? And if they do, then go ahead and vote for them. But I guarantee you, if you look into these people, and especially look into Kamala, you know what I'm saying? You're not going to think that she represent you. So, yeah.
Yeah, I all in all, you should be doing that with every election. And when it comes down to voting, honestly, if you don't know who to vote for, you're better off leaving that box blank, letting somebody else know that knows what they've done the research. It's better to do that. But overall, this not just you need to go register to vote, you need to take people and take your entire community out to vote. If people are saying they're not going to vote because, oh, I got a broken down car, or oh, I got this, load them up in your car and do multiple trips to the polls. do it. We have to show up in mass numbers. Or, well, not or. In this entire situation, that is exactly what Trump's pushing, is everything needs to be too big to rig. So every Republican must show up to vote, and you're guaranteed a win this year.
So real quick, Tiffany, I see your comment says you say you're not voting for a convicted felon. Please don't let that be the reason why you don't look into these things. Just, I'm serious, man. You're not voting for anything other than policies. Look at policies and what you heard tonight. Are you okay? Are you okay with that? Are you okay with what Kamala just said in this interview? Unscripted, they say. And unscripted. And if this was unscripted, and even though I'm gonna go ahead and give her the bonus and say that it was scripted, right? You still got nothing. They gave nothing. She said support and strengthen the middle class. And the way that she says she wants to do that was extend the child tax credit, which that's JD Vance's running. That's what he was talking about, was extending child tax credit. Affordable housing by giving a tax credit of $25,000 to first-time home buyers. And increase access to capital, which I'm assuming that falls in line with the $25,000 tax credit. Are you okay with that? That was it. That was the only thing that we got. That was the only thing that she talked about for her campaign, a policy. That was it, sister.
Well, and also keep in mind that the tax credit is what JD Vance is pushing, and JD Vance wants to expand it to where even grandparents that are raising grandchildren to where they can receive it, and it's not just directly to the parents. JD Vance wants to expand the child tax credit to not just be to the parent because of the lifestyle that he grew up in. He was raised by his grandparents. And so he sees that those are opportunities that parents are getting the money when they're really not raising their kids. He wants to increase it to like, what was it? Like $6,000 or $8,000. I'm not a big fan of it, but if that's a selling point for you, it's neutral. Both groups are offering it. And if I was to say, Vance has actually put out and talked about more data on who's going to get it and how it's going to benefit people more than the Democratic Party has. They're just throwing out numbers saying, "Oh, we want $6,000." That's all they're saying.
Yeah. Either way, for all the people that are voting for Kamala that happen to be watching this, just know we do appreciate you being here with us, regardless of who you're going to cast your vote for. The point of us doing these things is to hopefully give a little bit more information. Yeah, we got a little satire in there where we make some jokes because that's not our political candidate. We're just human, nothing wrong with it. It's all in good fun. But it is a serious thing, man. Your vote it's a serious thing because it's going to dictate how our country kind of runs, in certain instances with presidential powers. And I think everybody needs to be conscious of that, man. So for all the liberals that are watching this right now, Democrat voters that are watching this right now, man, I appreciate you guys being here. I hope that you got something from it. And I hope you come back because I like this. I like when people come in that, you give a little pushback. And I like to show the unity in the comment section. If you having talks with people in the comment section that are of the opposing view than you and not being nasty towards each other while giving your opinions of why, and because at the end of the day, we got to heal that. That's what's got to be healed more than anything else is our relationships, our community in America with each other. So, Tiffany, you're the only one commenting I see so far that is a liberal on YouTube that's watching this. I appreciate you, sis, for being here. And everybody, I appreciate all of you all for watching us here tonight. Thank you for tuning in with us and being here, covering this whole thing. I love all of y'all, man. Straight up. We got to unite this country. And for me, it's Trump 2024.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. This will be my first year voting for Trump, and it's going to happen. But send us out, man.
Unite. Don't fight. Be a street light. Because only you could be the change you wish to see in this world. And when you get too stressed out, you got to remember to pray, America. Because without God, everything falls apart.
Woo!
Yeah, brother.